Hey everybody, I know it's been a while. Skull33 here, TJ, everyone else. I know it's been a while. I moved. It took me, I think, a few months to actually set my whole new little workshop area up. But I got some new goodies. Got a few more reviews I'm going to be doing in a few more days. I got a bunch more stuff in. But I got one here. It's the SCX-180. I know the 220's been out for a while. The 180's relatively new. And I actually swapped it out with my F14B. So I'm going to go over a few of the features, some of the cool things with it. Alright, so in a nutshell, it's a 180 class frame. What's the big deal? Well, here's what we got. Here's the original F14B. Okay, it's a unibody design, top plate. Now this is the Rev 1. The Rev 2 that came out shortly after gave an extra standoff spot, so it wasn't so squishy here, but I never had an issue. And you had the standard adjustable camera mount that would lock in your standard FPV camera. Now, the SCX, on the other hand, is not a unibody. It is actually 4 separate arms, top plate, middle plate with power distribution board if you opted for that, top plate, and your camera pieces. So, you actually have a lot more of a build to do with this one, but it is in a lot smaller, tighter package. And it's also a true X compared to, let me make sure we get that in there good. Compared to the F14B, which is kind of like a Y, more of a elongated shape, as you can see. So, you actually got a lot better aerodynamics just because you have equal thrust now. Okay. Also, it's a lot smaller and tighter build. So if this is something you think could be your first FPV build, I would kind of steer you away from this one, only because it is a lot tighter. And in mind, I do have a quad reefer power distribution board. I have a Rev 6 mullet. I have a Lemon PPM with satellite diversity and a receiver, all crammed into this little pod area. Compared to if you start with the F14, you got plenty of space to kind of spread all that stuff out. Now, compared to this one though, with the unibody, it is a lot strong because it is thick carbon. I believe it is 4 mil thick, which is the same here. However, it's a lot thinner arms, a lot less motor surface area for protection. Now, Armattan light features, it's definitely going to be a lighter frame, but it's the only frame that is not given with a lifetime warranty. So if you break it, it's on your own time. Now, with that being said, that I wouldn't call it a deal breaker, because if you did break an arm, they're really cheap. Okay, all the parts to replace are really cheap. They're in stock a lot, either from Armattan Quads or RC Craze. They both stock all the parts. Like I said, it is a sandwich design, but the way the arms are built, it's kind of hard to see since I got the whole thing all assembled. Here are your bolts that go through here, but the arm doesn't just stop right here. The arm actually goes up here through the middle, and they all kind of interlock. So any force that's being placed on this arm here, downward anyway, is being transferred not just through these 2 bolts, but through everything throughout the entire frame. It's almost just like the initial F1 series frames. I don't know if you've seen the videos from those, but the arms themselves actually are an integral part of the frame. So the same is true for this. Okay. Now you do have your camera pivot, which is standard just like that was on here, only it's a lot smaller. It's not this big honking deal. It's been simplified down to a 2-bolt system with the, hopefully we can get that in there with the light, with the rubber bobbin and stopper, which is really awesome. It does stick out in front compared to the F14 series where it was kind of recessed back. It sticks out, which is fine. Now, if you put the camera level, you're going to see props. But the whole real idea of the Armattan Light series was to be lighter, smaller, faster for racing, for more acro stuff. So with that being said, your camera is normally going to be pointed pretty high up, and you're not going to see the props at that point. You really don't care. Okay? Another cool thing, you got your assignable clean flight, beta flight, whatever flight, LEDs in the back here. You only got 3 compared to the F1 series where you got a 9-bank. Okay? But still programmable, still cool. A lot of other cool things I like about this frame that This one didn't have. Now, if you got the power distribution board, you got a little spot for your XT60. Here, though, obviously, since you don't have it, they did include, which I always love these, the strain relief holes for your zip ties, so you're not ripping this out. And it has a little dimple here for the cables, so you're not necessarily ripping them out constantly. Alright. Another cool thing that I like about it is there's a little bracket in here. I'm going to pop it up and we're going to show it off real quick. We'll use some 4 screws that hold the whole thing on top. Makes it relatively easy to get in. Is the VTX holder. Now the VTX holder on this, compared to just a hole, alright, pull that off here. Okay, the VTX holder is actually, you got this little plate right here. If you're using like a standard SMA or RMSA with a square fitting, you can kind of see it in there. There's this little strain relief actually in here to hold this part with a rubber O-ring in between. I take off my antenna now. Take that off. Okay. Pull it off. Okay. You can see right there in my chin. We'll do some lighting. Whoa! There's your rubber O-ring, but there's a little square cut out for your thing. So this actually keeps it from rocking and rolling, and actually keeps some of the strain off of just your antenna. Because if you look at my F14B here, here's actually the thing that just kind of snapped off. It took its toll after just being pounced and landed on. The props actually kind of give this some protection. So I'm going to reassemble this and do some movie magic in a second. Ta-da! Okay. So, we're back together. Good to go. Now, like I said from the beginning, this is actually all the internals and guts from my original F14B. Now, the only thing I did change was the ESCs. You can see these ESCs on here are extremely tiny. These are the new Cicada 20s, the 20 amps. So that's one of these little bad boys right here. These things are like ridiculously small. I have small hands too. So that's really small. So those fit perfect on the arms here compared to, originally on here I had these old Little B 30s, which are pretty honking big compared to these now. So these would not have fit ever so nicely on these arms. There's not much room. So there's a little bit of a weight savings I got from there. But for my original build video, or review, I'm sorry, I had a clip of one of these. And this fully loaded with the same layout, same props, everything is exactly the same except for the ESCs now. This came in at 320 grams, okay? So we'll go ahead and put this one on the scale now. Zero it out. Okay, you can see that. So we're coming in at 293 grams. So it is a bit of a weight savings. Okay. So besides being just a tad lighter, which lighter is always better, alright, you can make this lighter, I'm sure, if you pick some different things that I don't have on here. It's the way you can actually bounce this out. Now, with the F14B, the standard layout was LiPo on top. I just have an old 3S. So you got your battery on top, all your gear here. You know, if you had a GoPro, you mount it to the front. So everything is kind of top heavy. Now, the F1s did give you a slot for the bottom for a strap. Most of the guys I saw ever fly them always had it on the top. Okay. Now, within the way the X frames are flying now, I like the X better than this style, mostly because you can kind of bounce them out a lot better. When you have your LiPo on the bottom, okay, you still have your thrust right here in the middle, so you have your mast down here and your mast in the middle, so it's all bounced out. And then when you put your camera on top, I use my Session. These are just some 3D Session print mounts, and of course there's some top slots here. Once you get it all down, it's pretty well balanced. It's evened out. Aerodynamically, you only have this thin section in the middle taking up the space, compared to on the F1 series, where you have this long honking mass of meat. And with the bounce all centered up, when you're doing some of your acro moves and stuff, it seems to want to spin better on its axis. I don't know if it's just the feel, you know, I'm telling myself in my head, but I honestly think I can feel the reaction is just a little bit better with everything bounced out compared to all the mass right in the middle and on the top with the thrust right here, instead of here where it's all mixed up. Okay? So, those are my 5 thoughts. You know, crashability, I've slammed this into a bunch of trees. I've done a lot of damage. There's a video I got where me hitting a bunch of trees. No problems, even though it's not covered under a lifetime warranty. It's going to be hard to really break them. You know, the top plate's your thinnest and weakest point. That's going to be really it. And other than that, I'm really happy with it. I really like it. So go ahead, go check out Armattan for the link. And have a good one. Happy flying!